everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast for y'all. This week I went to the movies. It was a little tricky because I almost didn't go to the movies because the two movies that I wanted to see were like super long, and I was like, and I had another errand to do later, and that I wanted to do, so I was like, I wanted to go to the Lego store. So I was like, ugh, to do it all, that like sucks up my entire day, because like I was like, ooh, Avatar 2's back in theaters in 3D, and like that would be awesome, except that it's like close to 4 hours long when you add in trailers. It's over 4 hours when you add in trailers. And I was like, no, I'll watch that here at home. I have a 3D Blu-ray, it's fine. So I was like, I also wanted to see One Battle After Another, which I was like, oh, that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's going to be over 3 hours with trailers. Ugh, I don't know. But I ended up going to the Lego store another day, and I said I can just go to the movies, and that's fine. No other things to do. I can take 3 hours to go to the movies, over 3 hours. And I'm glad that I went, because the movie was very, very good. It is a little uncomfortably close to current events. Basically, in this world, they don't establish like, a place or a time or a year or anything like that. There's no like real world elements in it to set it in a time period exactly. It's kept removed so it can just exist in its own space, which is helpful. But there's like, a racist military, running everything in the government, and, there's like prison camps full of immigrants in cages. And so it's uncomfortably close to reality. But because the movie, it's a satire and it is very funny, that helps keep it from getting too heavy, though there are heavy elements in there. It keeps it more enjoyable and entertaining to watch as a movie, thank goodness. But like Sean Penn is fucking insane. So good. And then Leonardo DiCaprio is very funny, very comedic, good comedic performance. All the performances are great. And my only complaint with it is that it's a bit long. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes or so, and I just feel like it could have been tightened up slightly. I wouldn't have cut anything because it's all good, but maybe tighten it up a little. I don't know. Because like, it's not boring. Like, I was never once bored. There is forward momentum from the very start. It just keeps going, and you're just along for the ride, and it's really good. It's just really long. But it's very funny, and there's a great climactic car chase at the end of the movie that uses the environment so brilliantly. I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is amazing. I'm not going to say anything, but when you see it, you'll know. But basically, so that I could have all that time to see a long movie, because nothing was an hour and a half, I decided that I would go to the Lego store earlier in the week, because I wanted to get my Lego Game Boy. And that came out at the middle of the week, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go after work. I'll just go into the city, go to the Lego store, buy it, and come home. That way I don't risk, like, going on Saturday and having them sell out by then. You know what I mean? It's probably unlikely. I'm sure they have tons of stock, but just in case, and it justified me going after work during the week, making an extra trip into the city. And I'm so glad I did, because it's freaking awesome. I mean, look at this thing. I tried to find my original Game Boy. I thought I still had it. I can't find it. I think it might be lost to time. It does feel like the correct dimensions. It just feels a little thicker, like they couldn't get all the innards and everything and keep it the same width. It just feels slightly thicker. I don't know. But like all the buttons, like you can press all the buttons, you can flip the switch, you can turn the dials. Everything looks completely accurate. You can take the cartridge. There's Mario, and you can put that back in. And there's like lenticular screens that you can insert so that it like, looks like the opening Nintendo logo flowing and everything, and that's so cool. And there's There's also lenticulars for Mario and for Zelda that you keep in this little handy little display case with an extra cartridge, because there's 2 cartridges. There's the Super Mario, and then there's also Zelda, which it includes the battery. Come on now with the details. I mean, oh my God, so good. But yeah, it was not a big set. It only took me a couple days to put together because it was only like 5 bags. It didn't take very long. I like to stretch my Legos out if I can to, enjoy putting it together over a longer period of time. But this was too quick, and I was like, oh, and we're done. Boop, 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 boop. And of course, online I've seen that somebody has already like taken out the innards and put in like a circuit board and a real screen so that you can actually play Game Boy games on a Lego Game Boy, which is bonkers. But I wanted to buy that, and I also bought this, which is an absolutely adorable Halloween wreath, which I thought was so cute, and I wanted to put that up for Halloween. I haven't put it together yet, obviously. It's still in there. And I get up to the register, and the guy's like, beep, 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 beep. He's like, you're $10 away from getting a free gift. And I was like, what is it? And then he showed it to me, and I was like, oh, I want that. So I turned around and I grabbed this, which is just a tiny little heart made of flowers, which will be lovely for Valentine's Day. And I was like, is this $10? And he's like, yeah, you're fine now. Because, like, as soon as he showed it to me, I was like, I had to have it. It is this absolutely adorable ghost for Halloween, little bat, and you press down on him and he lights up orange. I mean, come on, it's adorable. I was like, I kind of want that gift. I kind of want that. So I ended up buying something I did not plan to buy, but it's more Legos to put together, so yay, that's fun. And because of putting together Legos in the middle of the week, that took away some time from gaming, unfortunately. And it was a very inopportune time because there were a couple of big updates. Nikki and Disney both had big updates this week, so I was like, I want to put my Legos together, but I also want to play that. I don't have time enough in the day for all of this. But thankfully, at the beginning of the week, before everything happened, I was able to play some Dragon Age because that didn't happen later. And I was able to, I did Davrin's companion quest, and we finally took care of the Gloom Howler, so that's done. And now my handsome boyfriend is now an official member of the Veil Guard, so he's good. I think I only need to do Nev now. I think she's the only holdout. Unless she doesn't join the Veil Guard because I picked the other city and she's like mad at me for that still, so she won't ever become a Veil Guard member? I don't know. Whatever. I'll figure it out later. Right now, I'm immersed in the 2 new updates. Disney had a new update, and it brings it takes you back to Beauty and the Beast with Lumiere and Cogsworth added to the game, and you go back to the castle, and it's all dark and messed up and whatever, and you have to work with Lumiere and Cogsworth to solve the mystery through a lot of gathering and cooking and crafting and running back and forth all over the stupid castle and its different passageways. And it was a little time consuming. It ended up taking me like 2 or 3 days because I just didn't have the time to devote to it. I could only go for a little bit. But I eventually did finish it and brought Lumiere to the valley. And then, of course, because you can't bring more than one person at a time, you had to, go back and say, hey, Cogsworth, now it's your turn. And then Cogsworth comes to the valley. And I don't know why you can't just have welcome Lumiere and Cogsworth to the valley and have them show up together. It would just save some time. Thankfully, you do not have to build them a separate house and find space for it in the valley. They just moved in with Belle and the Beast. So that was a plus. That was a nice bonus. Of course, now I've got friendship quests to do for them, and I still haven't finished Joy and Sadnesses from the last update. This always happens, so I have to get on that. But I'm also doing the new Infinity Nikki update. Oh wait, before I forget, there's a star path, and it's like a witchy Halloween star path, so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not crazy about a lot of the stuff in it, but there was this a floating book. So when you're like, you know, sprinting around, you ride this floating book, magic book, and that's kind of cool. So worth it for that. I have plenty of moonstones, so I unlocked the whole thing so I can get everything, and I don't care. It's like whatever. I'll just, you know, gather it all together. I think the last reward is like a witch's castle kind of thing for your house, which is nice. Anyway, moving on to Infinity Nikki, the golden season started this week, which it's a whole harvest themed thing, and there's like little mini games where you're like stomping grapes, and another one where you have to like drive a train carefully. That one turned out to be trickier than I thought it would be. But, you know, there's little mini things to do here and there. The main quest, however, is a murder mystery where there was a suitcase and they opened it up and it's full of fabric scraps, and apparently that's a PC who'd been murdered and now they're just scraps of fabric. And I'm like, that's kind of horrific. The PCs are these adorable little floating cloth creatures. And I was like, this is terrifying. Like, what the hell? I know this game gets... I'm hoping that at some point later in the mystery you find out she's not really dead. But she might be, because this game does like to get dark. I mean, the last music season thing that they had, like, the reveal was that, like, these puppets were life-size puppets of people who died in a horrible fire. You know, it gets dark, this game. But, like, there's, like, a mystery, and you have to, like, question people. And they're sort of trying to make the mystery more of a gameplay mystery kind of thing. They're doing the thing like you do in, like, Ace Attorney, where you have to, like, rotate an item to, like, find clues on it and stuff. So that's a nice little variety, you know, mixing it up a little. The problem is that this update has been so buggy. Oh, my God. So, like... sometimes when you go to play Infinity Nikki, it needs to update. The main big update happens in the background, like other PlayStation games. This one, not so much. I mean, this one, the background thing, but then literally every day this week, I think yesterday was the first day that I went to play Nikki, and it didn't have to download anything. And the problem is that, like, half the time, the download would get screwed up. So, like, one time, it wouldn't even start downloading, and I had to quit the game and restart to get it to go. And then another time, it wouldn't finish. After all the time of loading, it wouldn't finish. And then I had to quit and restart so it would do it again. So I spent a lot of time looking at this fucking loading screen. One time I was just like, no, I couldn't deal with the music repeating over and over again. It was driving a spike into my brain, and I had to mute it because I was like, fuck off. And then also in, like, just getting those updates was buggy enough. But then in the game, like, I tried to do a side quest, and then to finish the side quest, you had to talk to a person. But when I go to talk to that person, it doesn't do anything because they're not in the right position. And then the main quest, I finished investigating the train car, and I went out, and I'm supposed to report all of my findings to this character who is somehow, for whatever reason, floating like 50 feet up into the air, so I can't get to her and speak to her. And then another time, I was trying to talk to this character, and it's like, you're supposed to talk to this character to advance the plot, except his dialogue wasn't advancing anything. And I looked online, and they're like, just restart the game, and he'll be in the right position, and then he'll have the right dialogue. And I had to quit the game, restart it, and then he was in a different place all of a sudden. I was like, oh, well, that's helpful. And I went down there, and then he had the correct dialogue, and we could advance the plot some more. So, not a great update, extremely buggy, but I am slowly making my way through the quests. The other thing I want to talk about before I sign off this episode is the sad news this week that Rock Band is delisting from the PlayStation and Xbox stores. The licenses have run out, so you will no longer be able to buy Rock Band anymore, which is sad. Which makes me very glad that I bought that Xbox Series S to play Starfield, but then I also downloaded Rock Band for $10, and then I re-downloaded all of my DLC. The problem is that I think the game is delisting now, and then songs are going to be delisting as the license runs out. So I feel like when I got it, I went in and, like, looked at recent DLC to see like if there were new songs that I wanted to buy that came out after I kind of stopped playing regularly. And I think I bought some stuff. I don't remember now. It's been over a year. So, but like I was like, let me go into the store and see if there's songs that I might want to buy before they delist. But it wouldn't even load the music store. It just kept loading, and then it said there was an error, and I'm just like, okay, I'll try again later. And hopefully, like, because I would have bought all the songs that are going to delist sooner are the really old ones, which I've bought from back in the day. So it would just be like some newer stuff that maybe I might want to get. So we'll see if I can get that to load. I don't know. But all I can say is that you are going to have to pry my plastic instruments out of my cold, dead hands. I love my music games, and I miss them, and I wish they were still making them, but they can't. It's too expensive, I guess. I don't know. It makes me sad. I do love pretending to be a musician, because I'm not good with music. I don't know anything about music. I can't play music. I can't sing very well. But with video games, you can pretend, and that's the most important thing. You could pretend to be a ninja. You could pretend to be a weird fairy girl. You can pretend to be a musician. That's what video games are all about. Pretending and making yourself feel better. All right. I will see you all back here next time, and I'll talk about some more crap. Bye!